Hey everyone, it's Reilly with another all-English episode. I hope everyone had a good Golden Week. I was off for the whole week. I didn't go to work from Saturday to Tuesday or something like that. But for the weekend, the kind of last weekend of Golden Week, I guess what most other people had off, Yuki and I went to Osaka. And yeah, when I was telling people that, a lot of people were like, oh, did you go to the expo, the Banpaku or whatever? And no, actually, we didn't. I am somewhat interested. I don't want to say I don't care at all about it, but I guess not interested enough to pay the money or whatever. I don't know. But no, we basically just went to Osaka to eat food. I've had this kind of idea recently where anytime I go to a big city, I guess Osaka or Tokyo size, that I want to try to find the most obscure food I can, meaning the food from the, I don't know, I want to say obscure country. It sounds kind of strange to call a country obscure, but you know what I mean, a country where you don't usually find restaurants that serve that country's food, something like that. So I got inspired by this, I think. I guess you could say inspired, because I heard from one of my friends that she went to an Uzbek restaurant, Uzbekistan. I think there's one in Tokyo. And so yeah. So when we went to Osaka, I was looking for some kind of shops with kind of obscure countries' food. So one of them was the first one we went to. I guess this doesn't really count. We went to a Mexican place in that new, if you're from Osaka, maybe you know the Time Out Market in the Grand Green kind of shopping mall area. So Mexico is not super obscure, but they had some kind of more local kind of taco styles that you don't usually find at Mexican restaurants, especially in Japan. But the ones that actually count, I would say, as obscure. I'm using that word a lot. Rare, maybe, is another good word. Rare cuisines. We had food from a Uyghur restaurant. So Uyghur are they're a Turkic group of people that live in Western China, and so their food is a little bit Middle Eastern food, kind of, but with kind of a Chinese twist, I guess you could say. The most maybe representative is they have this kind of, one dish that we had was lamb with peppers and other kind of stir-fry stuff, but with noodles. So it was lamb yakisoba, I guess you could say, or closer to yaki udon. They were kind of thick noodles, and then it had kind of Middle Eastern spices like cumin and stuff like that, but also the Chinese pepper, Sichuan peppercorn. I'm not sure, the Chinese sanshou, I think you call it in Japanese. But anyway, that restaurant, I just randomly found it on Google Maps, and it was awesome. It was really good, really surprising. They also had this kind of yogurt that I'm forgetting the name now. It might have been Ayran, I think it was called, Ayran, I think. And it was this yogurt drink, but it's not really sweet. It's kind of salty. And that was interesting. Yeah. And then what else do we have? We had Basque food. Yeah, so it's kind of Spanish food, but particularly the Basque country, which is kind of a region of France. Well, a little bit of France, but mostly Spain. And they also speak a distinct language, Basque, it's called, which is not related to any other language that people know of. Anyway, the food was also very good there. But yeah, so next time I go to Osaka or Tokyo, I want to try kind of, countries from parts of the world whose food I usually don't get an opportunity to eat. So if any of you listening know of any restaurants like that and have any recommendations, feel free to message me on Instagram at ReillySullivanXD. And also Sota's, you can message Sota too, I guess, if you want to, but Sota's Instagram is Eigo no Sota. Yeah, so actually, I'm not going to be talking for most of this episode about food. I would like to talk about a couple of movies that I've seen recently. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into the episode. Yeah, so recently, the past few months or so, I've been trying to watch more movies. I've always liked watching movies, but I've been kind of trying, I guess, more generally to get more into, I don't know, art or media or whatever you call it. I want to read more and watch more movies, and also listen to more music, or I don't know what I could say here. I guess challenge myself by listening to new and interesting music or watching new movies. Kind of, I want to get away from just spending a lot of time watching the same YouTube channels over and over where I don't really learn anything new. I'm just kind of mindlessly entertaining myself, especially at night after I come home from work and don't really feel like doing anything. I want to make a habit of doing, I'm still being entertained. It's still entertainment, but it feels a little bit more productive or whatever. Anyway, so Yuki and I have been trying to watch a movie or two a week, something like that, together. And then on Fridays, with including Yuki, but then a larger group of friends, usually about 6 of us or something like that. We have movie night where we watch a movie together at my friend's apartment. And yeah, the way we do that is each of us pick a movie or two. Sometimes it's just any old movie we feel like watching. Sometimes there's a theme, based on, everybody has to pick a movie with this actor as the lead actor. Or we have to pick movies by one director, or movies in a certain genre, like sci-fi or, action movies or whatever, something like that. So yeah, that's been fun, and I've watched a lot of movies. I mean, sometimes it can be a little bit, I don't know, disappointing or frustrating if I don't like a movie that someone else picked, or if other people don't like a movie that I picked, which has happened. But yeah, it's been a cool experience, and because other people choose movies, I'm watching movies that otherwise I probably wouldn't. So yeah, I mean, it's been overall a pretty good time, and I've watched, I don't know, maybe close to 20 movies at movie night so far, something like that. We're also all using this application called Letterboxd, which is a kind of, you can track what movies you've seen, and you can rate them, and then you can see what your friends think too. So we're doing that. It kind of adds another level to it. I don't know, makes it a little more fun to see what everybody else rated it. Even though we're all in the same room and we can just talk about it, we still get to see. And we also try to do it when we're watching movies by ourselves, so I can see, oh, they watched that or whatever, and I can see what they thought about it. But anyway, let me start talking about the actual movies I've watched. I think both of these are movies I watched with Yuki rather than at movie night. But anyway, the first movie is called Conclave. It's a movie that was talked a lot about maybe about a month ago or whenever during the Oscars, the Academy Awards in America. I think it won an award or two. It was certainly nominated for a few. But it's being talked about even more now because, well, it might not be super big news in Japan, but in Europe and America, maybe a lot of the rest of the world, it's pretty big news. The Pope, the leader of the Catholic Church, died recently. Maybe, was it last week? A week and a half ago? Something like that. And now this kind of conclave, which is the name of the movie, but it's also the name of the meeting where all the leaders of the church, the cardinals, get together in Rome, in Vatican City, to vote on the next pope. Now, the movie is fiction, but it shows, some of the drama and politics that goes on at that meeting. And I think probably it's not a coincidence that they chose to put out that movie now when the Pope has been, or had been, in kind of bad health for maybe a year or a couple years now. So probably, no one wants to wish for the Pope to die, I hope, but I'm sure the people who made that movie are kind of happy with the timing because it has certainly made their movie more popular than it probably would have otherwise been. But yeah, so maybe what's going on in this movie is similar to what's going on in the Vatican right now. So the actual movie is kind of from the perspective, or it follows one cardinal who is put in charge of the conclave. Like, it's kind of his job to oversee it, to run the voting for the next pope. And about how he kind of struggles to find balance between his personal views, what he thinks or who he thinks should be the next pope, and also kind of maintaining a fair election. And then, so there are various groups or factions. I mean, you could think of it like political parties in an election in a country, and they support different candidates for pope, rather. And kind of just like political parties, there's kind of like liberal left, you could call it left, I guess, although in the church maybe it doesn't make sense, but kind of liberal people who want to see the church kind of move forward. Maybe they have more kind of open-minded ideas about how women should be treated by the church, or LGBT people, and stuff like that. And then there are others who are more conservative and maybe even want to go back to a kind of more traditional and conservative church. In one scene, there's even one of the cardinals, I think one of the Italian ones, is kind of complaining about how at these meetings they don't talk in Latin anymore. You know, in the past, in the past, all they're called Mass on Sunday when people go to church in the Catholic Church. All Mass used to be done in Latin. So I think priests were basically able to speak Latin, and so until somewhat recently, I don't know, the last 20 or 30 years or something like that, the cardinals would all speak Latin to each other. Because, of course, you know, Catholic Church is a big church. People are from all over the world. There's Italian ones, American ones, Filipino ones, African ones, South American ones. So they all speak different languages. But, you know, historically, the kind of the language that brought them all together was, weirdly, this dead language, Latin. So nowadays, they don't really do that anymore. There aren't so many masses in Latin, and also I don't know if the priests can all really speak it so well. So he was kind of complaining about that, but that's kind of a sign of how really conservative and looking back to the past he is. And yeah, so there's a lot of like twists and turns and, you know, surprises in the plot. And it's not as kind of boring and political as maybe I'm making it sound. I think there's kind of an interesting part how it's very similar to a movie from, I want to say, I don't know, remember exactly, the early 2000s called Mean Girls, that was popular in America, where it's like a high school drama, and you can maybe kind of imagine high school girls get in these kind of groups, cliques we call them, and they have these kind of like rivalries or wars with other cliques and other groups of girls. And for a lot of people, this conclave movie, which is, of course, you know, it's all old men, but it almost reminds people of how kind of high school girls would kind of make their groups and fight with each other like that. So it can be kind of funny, too. But yeah, so watch that if you're interested in the Catholic Church or political movies, or maybe even teen movies if you like that kind of like drama and bickering, kind of fighting like that. The second movie, and I think I had planned to talk about a few more, but I'm going a bit long already, so maybe I'll leave it to two. But the second movie is called Kneecap. It's about a couple of boys, two young boys from Northern Ireland, who are in a Irish language hip-hop group. And actually, the hip-hop group is real, and the people who are acting in the movie are actually the rappers in the group. And yeah, so when I say like Irish language, right, they rap in Irish rather than English. Most people in Northern Ireland speak English. In fact, most people only speak English. But some people, a small minority, speak Irish as well. And then, yeah, there's some other politics that goes on because, Northern Ireland is actually a part of the UK. And so there's kind of one group of people in the country who are Catholic, kind of, I guess, relating back to Conclave, and many of them consider themselves Irish. And then there is another group of people who are Protestant, meaning Christian, but not Catholic, and most of them consider themselves British rather than Irish. And for a long time, because it's part of the UK, the government has supported the Protestant British people over the Catholic Irish people. And also, the Protestants tend to be richer, and the Irish tend to be poorer. So there's this kind of whole dynamic going on. And even though that sounds kind of serious, and in fact, historically there were the Troubles, they call it, in Northern Ireland, where there were it's basically a war almost between these groups called the IRA or the PIRA or other kind of groups that were fighting to get independence for Northern Ireland or to reunify with the rest of Ireland, and then the UK government or kind of other kind of military, paramilitary, almost military groups that were against the Catholics. Anyway, there's kind of complicated politics going on, but the movie doesn't take that stuff super seriously. It's a pretty funny movie, and it follows these two boys and their friendship and their relationship with the third member of their group, who is like an older, maybe 40-year-old school teacher who joins up as the hip hop group as their DJ. And then also kind of their interactions with the cops and other, other kids their age and stuff like that. I guess maybe I have to explain the politics a little bit to help explain what the movie is about, but really it's a funny movie and there's a lot of music because they're a hip hop group. And another reason why I liked it personally is because about half of the movie is in Irish, because the two rappers speak to each other in Irish. I think one of them speaks to his mom in Irish most of the time. And so there's this kind of cool aspect to it where Irish has like a kind of special spot for me because it's a language that, is a minority language in Ireland, in Northern Ireland, but also in the rest of Ireland as a whole. I don't know off the top of my head how many people actually speak Irish, but, it's probably something like maybe 10% of people in Ireland speak Irish day to day. And it's a language that almost died. It almost went, basically everybody almost stopped speaking Irish, but nowadays people are trying to bring it back. So I don't know, that's kind of a cool thing for me, a cool kind of identity thing. So yeah, if you have an interest in that or in hip hop or in, I don't know, the history of the UK, because they go into the Troubles a little bit as well. Or you just want kind of a funny movie about maybe high school age, maybe college age kids, then this might be a movie you would like. I think I'm going to leave it there. I'm getting a bit long, as I had said. So if you don't want to message me about, kind of interesting foods to try in Osaka or Tokyo or wherever, then I'd love to hear your movie recommendations. Maybe I can bring them up at movie night and make my friends watch them too. That's all for me. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.